Hey soldiers, it would appear that at least one chapter in the Sam Bankman Fried FTX saga, one of the chapters is coming to an end here. We predicted a few reports ago that he would plead guilty, and it looks like that's exactly what he intends to do next week, January 3rd. Sam Bankman Fried to enter plea in FTX fraud case. Now, it's not as cut and dry as we might think. We're going to get into it. And I'm also going to tell you exactly why he's doing this. There are two very distinct and clear reasons why Sam Bankman Fried is going to go ahead and plead guilty. There are three, really. The number one reason is he knows that they have the evidence against him. Okay, I'll get to the other two in just a moment. Sam Bankman Fried is expected to enter a plea next week to criminal charges. He defrauded investors and looted billions of dollars in customer funds at his failed FTX cryptocurrency exchange. Now, look, anything could change, okay? This is the expectation. If you remember when he was down in the Bahamas, people expected him to waive his right to extradition on that Tuesday, and that didn't happen. There was some confusion. But I think he's back up here in the United States. He's dealing with a rock-solid legal team, and they probably put this out there for media consumption to try to, there is sympathy for Sam Bankman Fried. There's not a lot of it, but I can tell from the comment section in these reports that there is some sympathy for him. And I guess, they want to try to craft a message that, hey, he's doing the right thing. He's going to go ahead and plead guilty, save the taxpayers time and money. And usually the federal authorities, state prosecutors as well, look favorably on that in terms of sentencing. So he's probably also calculating, look, I'm a very young man, and he's 30. And if he does 30, hey, he's still, look, that's a tough pill to swallow, but he still has, some semblance of life at the end of the day, right? Does he deserve just 30 years? Well, I didn't lose any money on FTX, but I can imagine those who did are probably not going to agree that he should get a light sentence. The 30-year-old is expected to be arraigned on the afternoon of January 3rd, 2023, before U.S. District Judge Lewis Kaplan in Manhattan Federal Court. Court records on Wednesday showed. Of course, we already went over this. Kaplan was assigned to the case on last Tuesday after the original judge recused herself because her husband's law firm advised FTX before they collapsed. Look, another reason, and I'm going to get to the other two as well, but another reason that just occurred to me in terms of him pleading guilty, you remember Sam Bankman Fried was out there, he was talking to any and everybody about this issue. Now, any lawyer worth his salt will tell you, don't talk to the police, get a lawyer. You do have a right to remain silent. Not only did he ignore that, against his attorney's wishes, his first group of attorneys, they quit. I guess they estimated there's nothing we can do with this. So he kept yapping on big platforms. New York Times had the whole event, and he was front and center on that. Broadcast around the world. New York Times, Wall Street Journal, all of these big-time publications, plus smaller outfits like bloggers and YouTubers. I still want an interview with him. Looks like that may happen from behind bars, but yeah, I want to ask him some pointed questions. I want to understand what led him to pull off this scam, and I've got a lot of other questions for him. So hopefully one day we can interview Sam Bankman Fried. Sam Bankman Fried, if any of your people are listening to this, get in touch with his people. Let me know. I know he's going to be in a situation here soon where he's not going to have much to do during the day. So he can certainly sit down with an interview with the Soldiers of Finance channel. Prosecutors have accused Bankman Fried of engaging in a years-long fraud of epic proportions by using customer deposits to support his Alameda research hedge fund firm, buy real estate, and make political donations. Yes, he also has charges of campaign finance fraud. Fraud might not be the right word, but he has campaign finance related charges. Now, what's going to happen here? He's got a lot of charges, so maybe the intent is to plead guilty to some of them and go to court on others. I think that might be the strategy here. Bankman Fried is charged with 2 counts of wire fraud and 6 counts of conspiracy, including conspiracy to launder money and commit campaign finance violations. And if convicted, of course, he could spend decades in prison. So we'll see. I don't think, and I could be mistaken about this, I think they want to go ahead and plead to some of the charges and fight others. Now, why is he doing this? Well, it's quite simple. For the reasons I mentioned earlier, he is still young. That's one of the main reasons. Number 2, he ran his mouth, and so he gave the government enough videotape of him talking. The guy, even at one point, one of the reporters asked him, a question about it, and he says, "I fucked up." So that's an admission of guilt, and the government has that. So those 2 reasons, of course. But here's another. Sam Bankman Fried and his parents do not have the money to finance a fight against the federal government. He had said that he's down to his last $100,000. That's nothing in terms of billable hours for the type of attorneys that he has. These individuals are, prepping for a fight against the federal government, the same federal government with limitless time, resources, and money. Understand, this is an entity. This is why you never want to run afoul of the federal government. You never want to find yourself in a situation where it's your name versus the United States of America. And the reason for that is this is an entity that can print money. They can just print it up out of thin air. Very few people in this world can stand up against that. All right. Sam Bankman Fried, from what I understand, his parents topped out at about $200,000 a piece over at Stanford. Let's make it $300,000. Okay, so you got $600,000 a year before taxes. These people are not going to be working anymore. They're not returning to Stanford to work. The father was working for FTX for a time. He certainly won't be going back there. And they're looking at liquidating retirements. They've already put the house up for the bail. Okay. So, and Sam Bankman Fried's looking at, not even if he appropriated money from FTX, the feds have said he can't spend any of it on anything other than defense. And they're going to want to know, well, where you said you had $100,000 left. Where'd you come up with, $1 million all of a sudden, right? So the lack of financial resources, his parents are looking at being absolutely destitute if they take this thing to the absolute furthest extent and then still lose. That's a distinct possibility. Now, the other reason, and I know that, and for all of you who wanted the parents prosecuted and investigated, I don't think it's going to happen now. And I do agree that they should be. But I don't think that's going to happen now, because I think that federal prosecutor walked in, spoke to Sam Bankman Fried, and pretty much told him, listen, if you don't play ball with us, we're going after your parents. You're a young man. They are not young people. You want your parents to go to prison? And I think that pressure was put on him. I think that message was also sent to the parents so that they could put pressure on Sam Bankman Fried. Okay. And, at the end of the day, he's going to fall on the sword, and he should. He is the, origin of this debacle, along with Wang and Caroline Ellison, who have already pled guilty. That's the other thing. The government already has statements from Ellison, Wang, and God knows who else with regard to this. So It's a losing proposition to go up against the government in this case. I think Sam Bankman Fried's going to go in there and plead guilty to some of these charges, and maybe all of them. Before his December 12th arrest, Bankman Fried acknowledged risk management failures at FTX, but said he didn't believe he was criminally liable. Of course, he would say that. Two of his associates, former Alameda Chief Executive Caroline Ellison and former FTX Chief Technology Officer Gary Wang, have pleaded guilty over their roles in the collapse of FTX, and they have agreed to be cooperating witnesses. These people were close to him, man. So they're going to give up the good. They already have. A lawyer for Bankman Fried did not immediately respond to request for comments. Bankman Fried, of course, he was released on December 22nd on a $250 million bail and ordered to stay with his parents in Palo Alto, California, where they taught at Stanford Law School. He is subject to electronic monitoring. All right, so there you have it. We'll see what he does on the 3rd, what charges he pleads guilty to. And I know that the parents probably have got to be breathing a sigh of relief because they can hold on to some of their retirement money. And also not have to worry about going to a federal prison. We'll see if I'm right about that. I think I am. I was right about the fact that he was going to plead guilty, and he looks like he's going to do that to some extent. Speaking of Sam Bankman Fried and his money, looks like he's trying to position himself to make some money off of this whole debacle. Take a look at this report we did yesterday. Can you believe he's trying to position himself for a book and movie deal? Will he be able to profit from that? Watch the report and find out. Guys, I'll talk to you soon.